What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham to preview the game on Monday night. Monday Night Football is back at the Lane. I was going to say this weekend, but it's actually next week, but it is this weekend's round of fixtures. We welcome Everton and Frank Lampard's Everton to White Hart Lane, or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever you want to call it, on Monday night. It's going to be a difficult game this weekend. It really is. Let's just do it. Let's just get straight into the preview. After the preview, we'll be taking callers in to have your say on the game. But look, in terms of the game this weekend, Everton, 17th in the league. They know they need every single point. They need to scrap and fight for every single point coming their way. The way they're playing football under Lampard, do you think that maybe plays into the way we play our game?
Not the way they play against Man City, I don't think it does, because they were resolute in that game and they played really solidly. They didn't have too many chances, but they made sure they restricted Man City as much as possible. They didn't give them an inch. And if they come to...
Did they sit in a low block against Man City?
Yeah, pretty you have to, don't you, when you play Man City? Except if you're like Liverpool, where you have the team and the tactics to press high.
Or if you Leeds, you don't mind getting battered.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have to do that. They were very resolute. I can't remember if they played three at the back or not, but they were very compact and they didn't allow C any space. If they do that to us, it's going to be very, very difficult. And Man City have the defenders to cope with Everton on the counter attacks. Even them, they nearly conceded a draw. They were very lucky to get away with it with a penalty.
They played three at the back. They played four.
Okay, yesterday they played three at the back.
Oh, did they? What, against Boreham Wood?
Yeah, against the Wood. So yeah, they played four at the back, and they have good players in the final third. Like they got Richarlison, Decore. I don't know if Calvert-Lewin's fit. I know he didn't play yesterday, and I don't think he played against City either. But is he out? 50%, so he might be fit. Van den Beek. Very good player, decision making the final third.
Van den Beek is also
playing really well. Yeah,
come on a bit since going to Everton, and I think Man U are probably thinking, well, why don't we play him a bit more? Because he's playing at a really high level at the moment, isn't he?
I mean, look, it's only early days, but he's had a good start. He's
shown more at Everton than he has throughout the match because he never got the chances.
Yeah, and he's playing in a different role. At Man United, he was thought of as a player who has to play in Bruno's role in number 10, but he's kind of playing a bit deeper. For Everton in a more number 6 in a double pivot role, and he's being like that little maestro in the centre, which that he said he can play that role, and he's performing. Yeah, he's performing very well. Obviously, Dele Alli's there. So the problem is when teams like Everton are in this position, they usually find a new level of performance because when it's Norwich or when it's Watford or teams like that, they don't. They need to scrap, but they don't have the quality to fight their way out of it. Everton do. Yeah. Everton have that. They have the quality to put in performances and get results. They should never be 17th of that squad. Of course they shouldn't. We know they're in a false position. Like they've got a much better team, for example, than Leeds. The only difference between them and why Leeds are above them at the moment is because Leeds play that more offensive role. They which probably gets them more wins.
They got a much better squad than someone like Crystal Palace, and they're sitting in 11th.
Yeah, Palace, Brentford, like they got much better squads. So like with Lampard now at the helm, it's all about them getting themselves right, and they seem to be on the right track. Although I do believe they've now lost 3 out of 4 games since Lampard's come. So they know this game they can't make that 4 out of 5. They know they can't. So I'm worried, to be honest, about this game. I'm worried about us being able to keep Everton out whilst also breaking them down when they're going to be pretty hard and resolute to break down. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult. And especially with players like Decore and Van den Beek in the centre. And if our centre mids are still out, if Bentancur's not back, and if Skip's not back, it's going to be very hard to deal with those two, especially Decore, because with his energy, and with Winks in the centre, can I see Winks being able to deal with him? I don't know.
Unless a Bentancur is back. I mean, if Bentancur is back and I don't expect Ollie Skip to be back, but I think Bentancur could be the one that is back. If he's back, do you think that's a big plus for us?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a massive plus for us because he, first of all, defensively, he's a lot more solid. He puts in a lot more challenges. He gets involved a lot
Higher
more
up
than
the
Winks
pitch as well.
He gets a lot more involved in the challenge than Winks and closer to the opposition. You saw that against City. You've seen that against good opposition. So definitely that would help against the likes of Decore, and it would hopefully stop Van der Beek from being able to dominate the game on the ball. And also on the ball, he's a lot more composed, isn't he? I know he can dawdle a few times. He's done that, but I think if you allow him to break the press, if you allow him time and space on the ball, he can pick out a pass, and he has quality. And you saw that move against Man City. He was like that one-touch passing move. He was like the hub of that passing move. He was moving all around the place. It was hard to track and deal with. So he can be vital. Doesn't mean just because he's playing, I believe it's going to be like a completely different kind of performance. But I believe having him in the centre definitely alleviates the threats that they'll have down the centre. But still, they have people like Richarlison in the final third. And if they're on the counter-attack, if they are able to get him into space, which I'm worried about, then they could get some joy there. But on the flip side, if we approach this differently potentially, if we maybe concede a bit of control, and maybe we try and extract as much space as possible in their half, then I can see us getting a bit more joy, because I don't think Everton are that great.
Lull them into a false sense of security.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe give them a bit more possession, and maybe that could be something we can. That could be a better situation, because I don't think their defence is that great. As much as they did well against City, I think I know with Mina out, there's like Michael Keane, you got Holgate, Coleman and Kenny on the wing backs, or Mikalenko if he's fit. That could be got at 100%. We have the quality to hurt that, especially with the front three we have in Kulu, Kane and Son. We definitely can hurt that back four.
Yeah, and when you're looking at Frank Lampard since he's come in to Everton, you usually see a manager bounce. You haven't really seen that Everton as of yet. They've had 2 away games since Lampard's come in, against Newcastle and against Southampton. They've lost both of them, 3-1 to Newcastle and 2-0 to Southampton. I mean, what do you reckon it is about Everton? Why aren't we seeing this kind of new manager bounce, which you do see more often than not when a new manager comes in? And why hasn't Lampard really got to grips with things yet at Everton?
Well, who'd they beat? They beat Brentford in the FA Cup, and then they beat
Leeds.
Everyone beats Leeds, don't they?
That's the only team he's beaten so far at Everton.
Yeah. First of all, Southampton in great form.
And so Newcastle.
So they're in their own right, like entitled to their own form and their bounce. Like Everton have no right to just turn up in those games and get all 3 points. And obviously against Newcastle they took the lead, but Newcastle came up on top, and they've shown recently, Newcastle, that they're doing their best to make sure they're clear of the danger zone before the end of the season, and they've made some good signings, and they turned up on the day, and they were much better than Everton. I have to say, they deserved the victory. Southampton, and as I've said, they're in really good form, really good attacking team as well, with the tactics Hasenhüttl plays. Like if you're not getting to grips with them early on, they can physically overwhelm you, and they've done that for a few teams now. Then exactly how they overwhelmed us, especially in that first half. Like there could have been 3 or 4 in that first half. The way they were peppering us and just relentlessly getting at us, and I don't think Everton are going to be up to speed so soon within the first few weeks, so they will be able to cope with that immediately. I reckon probably Rafa's tactics might have been more suited to that kind of game than the way Lampard likes to play. I think, who was the other game they lost to? City. Obviously, they were very unlucky in that game. They should have had a penalty. Should have been 1-1, really. They didn't concede too many amazing chances. There was a bad mistake at the back that cost them, and gave Foden the goal. So I wouldn't say he's like. It's difficult to say he's not getting to grips with it. I think he's trying his best, but it's a difficult job. It's not easy. Those aren't easy games.
I accept that, but with the quality they have in the squad, you would expect some sort of bounce when Lampard came in.
Before Lampard came in, they had lost 8 of 9 games or something.
Yeah, they had just lost.
Only Arsenal they had
just won. Had 3 back-to-back losses to Brighton, Norwich, and Aston Villa.
Yeah, before then though, they went on a very long stretch of losses and only beating Arsenal.
Yeah, very long actually.
So it's not it's not going to flip a switch just like that. Just because you get a new manager doesn't mean you're a new team now. These things take a bit of time, and also the signings need to bed in. You know, Van der Beek and Dele Alli need to get involved. I know Van der Beek's playing quite well, but they need to start learning how Lampard wants to play. Calvert-Lewin hasn't played every game, I don't think, under Lampard. I think they need to get him back. I think he's been injured a bit.
Yeah, he has.
So that's a massive one, because if they have him and Richarlison there, that's a big help. Because if it's just one of them, then you can just pull a lot of your resources onto Richarlison, and that would be a big help. And also, Doucouré's only just come back. I think his first appearance against City for a while. So he's had a lot of things to deal with. It's not easy. And I would give him time to get things right. And I don't think they've played that badly. I know Southampton, they were battered, I think, and they were easily beaten. But Newcastle, they were the worst team, but they had their chances. And City, they put in a good performance, and they beat Leeds and beat Brentford in the Cup. So it's not been all bad. And you've got to remember, he's coming into a team who are on a mad run of losses. So it doesn't surprise me that he's struggling early doors.
Yeah, fair enough. When you're looking at the head-to-head between Everton and Tottenham, obviously last year at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
wow, yeah, bad record.
They came and beat us 1-0, didn't they, last year? Earlier on this year in Antonio's first game, it was 0-0. So these games between Spurs and Everton not really throwing up many goals. Obviously, you had that game in the FA Cup last year that did throw up a lot of goals.
That was mental.
That was probably one of our better performances of the season last year against Everton at Goodison in the FA Cup under Jose. But I think that whenever Spurs and Everton do come head-to-head, it is usually quite a good open game of football, even though the scorelines don't really suggest that.
Yeah, usually Everton see Tottenham as a game they could win, and obviously Tottenham see Everton as definitely potential points. So I think that's why, Everton don't see Tottenham as like United or City or Chelsea or Liverpool.
They probably see us as equals.
Exactly. So they always come to the lane thinking we can get something here. So they always open up a bit, and maybe they'll feel like that against us on Monday.
Lampard will know full well how this Tottenham team are struggling at the moment against compact teams, against teams that let us have time and space on the ball. So I fully expect Lampard to play into that and maybe try and let us have some time on the ball to break them down, because they know that we're not successful at doing that at the moment.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. The only thing is, will they be able to rely? I know they played well against City, but can they rely on that defence to hold strong? Probably, considering how we have struggled against the likes of Burnley and the likes of and Middlesbrough and stuff, when defences have been very aggressive against us. But I don't see Everton's. The problem with Everton is not their back line. I don't see that back line as being particularly aggressive and physically strong. I think they could be got at. But the problem for me is if they got Doucouré and Allen shielding that back four, then I see big problems. And then all of a sudden you need your midfielders to step up and break the lines. And if we don't have Bentancur there, who also isn't the best ball traveller anyway, who do we really have in central midfield who's going to pick up the ball, get past someone, then open up space for other players? We don't have anyone.
That man.
We just don't have that man. The only person in the squad really who can maybe do that is maybe Kulu, from what I've seen. But I don't. Even him, he's physically strong. He can hold off players, but like down the centre, he likes space to run into when he's doing that. He's not the kind of player to run into tight spaces. The only players we've got rid of. So I don't. That's what we need. How like someone who's not scared to pick up the ball. Take people on in central areas and not be worried about losing it, and actually have the quality to get past people, because we have people who maybe have the confidence but not the quality.
It's mad to me. It's absolutely mad to me the way we're talking at the moment, and it's completely right why we're talking about this. But we're talking about a bang out of form Everton side, 17th in the league, who are in the relegation zone for some parts of that Burnley game before the equaliser came, or the winner came. I can't remember what it was, but. And we're sitting here worried about this Everton side coming and turning us over at home. It's actually mad to me. That's the state of play at our football club at the moment. We're not confident about getting points against anyone apart from a Leeds United. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't. But against
we should be expecting this team, Everton team, to come to Tottenham, and we should be expecting to roll this team over. Easy does it.
Well, considering our form in the last 15 games has been win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. We're now just off a loss, so maybe we can expect a win. maybe that's our best bet. But look, you got to respect what Everton have got. As much as they're on a terrible run of form, they do have good players. And I know Southampton and Newcastle have been able to deal with them, but they're on better form than us. And we're a bit low on confidence at the moment. And we're struggling for solutions when teams are posing problems, especially by clogging up the central areas. And if they clog up the central areas with Decore and Alan, and Van den Beek, I see trouble.
Yeah,
I see trouble. How can you not? If we play with a 3-4-3 and we get outnumbered yet again in the central midfield, right, is our back line going to be like... I don't think they're the best attacking team, Everton. I think, except for Richarlison, if Calvert-Lewin's not going to play, we can probably deal with them. But do I back us to be able to break Everton down with that kind of solidity they're going to have in central areas when we are lacking in quality in the wide areas? And then are they going to have a moment or two with Richarlison and Van der Beek when they break forward to open us up and get a chance or two? And if they take one of those chances, are we in trouble? That's what I'm worried about.
Would you consider any sort of formation shift in this game?
I don't know if we can. If we can, then yeah.
Maybe like a 4 at the back.
Thing is, we've been playing 3 at the back all season, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm saying regardless of that, I'm saying if you were the manager, would you consider that?
Yeah, I would. I think in this kind of game, especially like against Wolves, we saw that once we moved to 4 at the back, we had a lot more control. As soon as we moved to 4 at the back against Middlesbrough, we all of a sudden looked creative and looked like we can hurt them.
But we also looked very open.
We did look very open. But then that's a cup tie, isn't it, the last 10 minutes? But we definitely, we created more in those 10 minutes than we did in the whole game. It's true, we did look open. And maybe that means we need Reguilon back in the team. On the left back.
Yeah, I would definitely start Reguilon this weekend. I really would. It's just about time he gets back into this team. He hasn't played in ages, Reguilon.
Thing is he going to stick with Sessegnon, though?
I don't think he is. I think Reguilon comes back into this team. I think if Sessegnon had a really strong performance in this game against Middlesbrough, then I think Sessegnon probably would be a shoo-in for this game. But Sessegnon wasn't that great against Middlesbrough, unfortunately. And I think
in the last Prem game, he was good.
Yeah, he was. But against Middlesbrough, we're out of the cup now, and that was a massive game for us. And I think that will still play on Antonio's mind, and I think Reguilon deserves to come back in now. I genuinely believe that.
The thing is, for me, I would love to play a 3-5-2. I think that would probably be the best formation to play. Maybe we can play a 3-4-1-2 with Kulu more in central than out wide. Maybe that's what we'll do. But then it puts a lot of defensive responsibility on him. And it also has to make sure he's up for the battle with Decore and Alan.
I think he is. But those are two very physical central midfielders, obviously.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think Kulu, coupled with either one of Winks or Bentancur and Højbjerg, I think they would be up for the battle there. And I think it's going to be a lot more beneficial for us to have Kulu in the mix there than not. You know what I mean? Instead of just those two in the middle.
But maybe he thinks he can find better space out wide. I don't know. Like it's difficult, or more like a right central area. It's going to be difficult to tactically. I just think if we play 3-4-3 against those 3 midfielders, especially Van den Beek being one of them, because he can dictate things from a passing point of view and a bit of dribbling as well. And then obviously you've got Decore, who's like the driving force, and then you've got Alan, who's going to be sitting and just mopping everything up. I can see it being very difficult for Winks and Højbjerg to deal with that. Very difficult if it's them two. Yeah,
absolutely. I completely agree. In terms of the Everton players that could potentially hurt us, the ones to watch we've picked out are Richarlison and Anthony Gordon. And Richarlison's a bit hot and cold this season. I mean, only 5 goals and 3 assists this season. Not such a great return.
I feel like with Richarlison, he's a bit of a... It's a bit like... like when Hazard would have an off year or something, like
He can always pull it out.
he can always just pull it out any time. But I feel like this season, I remember at the beginning of the season, or it was the beginning of last season, he was saying how Ancelotti convinced him to stay because they're saying we're going to get back in the Champions League and everything. And look, Richarlison's a very ambitious player, and he was subject to an £80 million bid from Barcelona, wasn't he, like a year ago?
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who was a hot property, and I feel like the fact that Everton have just been so bad, like over the past few years, I feel like he's maybe lost that motivation to be that top player, and he needs a move to reinvigorate him. That's what I feel like with Richarlison.
Didn't he make these comments a few days ago saying he wants to stay at Everton for a while to get back into the Champions League? Didn't he say that a couple of days ago?
Did he?
I think he did. Or maybe it was someone else. I can't remember. I thought it was Richarlison.
Well, back in the Champions League from 2005.
Or in the Champions League. He thinks he can get into the Champions League with Everton. Maybe Lampard's got him on side.
I doubt he said that a few days ago. Really? Maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't see the quotes. I could be standing corrected, but I feel like Richarlison is desperate for a move. That's what I would feel like. I think he nearly left a year ago under Ancelotti. I think in the summer he was convinced to stay, but now they're languishing in a relegation battle. That's not where he wants to be. And you got to think of, like, Harry Kane wanting to leave Tottenham because they're not challenging Champions League. Imagine Richarlison in a relegation battle. He's much better than that. He could walk in. He can get into a lot of the top 6 teams. 100%. I would love him at Tottenham. I think he's a quality player. And I just think at the moment he's having a bit of an off season, because I feel like first of all, it's a bit like Kane at the beginning of this season. Not only is he not motivated, but also all the pressure's on him, because Calvert-Lewin's been injured for a lot of the season. Yeah. So literally all the focus is on him. And that's a lot. Sometimes it's too much to carry at any one time. And I think it was the beginning of the season with Kane before Conte came in. And I think with Richarlison, he can't do everything. He's not a Superman. And if he's going to be on top of his game, he needs to be fully motivated and challenging for at least for a European spot. But to be in a relegation battle, but that's also part of the problem. The fact that they're now in a relegation battle, like, that could give him the motivation to up his game as well, because he obviously don't want to get relegated.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's definitely a dangerous player, and the other player that we picked out in Anthony Gordon, I've been really impressed with him this season. I think he's come on quite well. Obviously a young British player coming through the ranks there at Everton, and he works hard. He's got grit. He's got good end product as well. He's a player that could definitely hurt us this weekend if we're not careful, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done well for especially since Lampard's come in. He's played a lot of football. And he's a teenager. He's starting to get a lot of football. I think he played a few games last year as well, but now he's a fixture in the first team. He can play on either wing. He's tricky. But I feel like he's one of those players who is not like the most skillful or has the most quality, but he gets in a lot of situations just because of his hard work and his never say die attitude. Like, I'm trying to compare him to someone. I'm trying to think who to compare him to in that position, but he's one of those players who's like a rash. You can't get him away. He's always running at 100 miles an hour. Yeah. And he's got that youthful exuberance of being a youth team player breaking into the team.
He's like a more advanced Brian Hill kind of thing. Like a better version of Brian Hill, more suited to.
I think Brian Hill has more quality than him, to be honest.
No, I'm not talking about the quality, but I'm talking about the way they play their football. And when I say more advanced, I mean more physically advanced for the Premier League, not more advanced as a footballer.
Yeah, potentially. I just think I think he's doing well. I don't think he's particularly an amazing footballer. I really don't, and I'm not from what I've seen. I don't see him as a player who's going to become a Premier League star. I just generally don't see that. I do see a player who's doing really well for a team breaking into the first team as a youth product, and he's making fullbacks think all the time. He's running at them. He's always closing players down. He's running all over the place. But whether that will level out, like when he gets to his early 20s and people start working him out and stuff, I don't know. I don't know.
The thing is about Gordon, right? He's a very, very hard worker, and when you come up against a team like Tottenham and you work very hard, you can bear the fruits of that labour, and you can get something good at the end of it.
That's what I'm worried about.
So that's the problem, and not only that problem, but you got problems like Dele Alli. You got problems like Andros Townsend. Andros Townsend always tries to get one over on Tottenham. He's always got a point to prove again. Maybe he doesn't, prove that point from time to time against Tottenham when he plays against us, but he's always out there to prove that point. And I feel like that's exactly going to be the feeling for Dele Alli as well. He's going to want to prove a point against us Monday night, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. If Dele wants to turn up, he can sometimes, and we know the quality he has. Dele's one of those players where we've known it for how long that he could be terrible for 80 minutes or 85 minutes and turn up with a bit of magic and win you the game. And I'm worried that if the game is close and they bring Dele Alli on with 15 minutes to go, that he can just turn up with something.
100%.
And there's nothing we can do about it. Like, 100%. He can flick something and volley it over 30 yards and we'll be sitting here on the defeat because that's just a moment of magic you can't do anything about. And that does worry me.
I've had visions of this game, right? Visions of the Tottenham fans welcoming Dele Alli back to the stadium, singing, "Oh, we got Ali," and him scoring the winner against us, and then him getting booed off the pitch. That's my vision, and I think it's pretty likely, to be honest. You could just see it happening, can't you?
I don't know if it's likely, but it's possible.
You can see Dele Alli scoring the winner on Monday night, can't you?
It's written. It's definitely written, especially all the troubles we've had with him the past few years. I don't think he started life, to be honest, particularly well at Everton.
Yeah, has he started yet for them? I think he's only had sub appearances, or maybe started one game.
Yeah, I can't think of any games he started. I don't think he's had a particularly great start, but no better way to turn that around than at Tottenham, is there?
He started one game in the defeat to Newcastle, where he got taken off on the hour mark.
No, he didn't even start that game. He came on. He came on in the first half.
What, and then went off? Oh, he came on late in the right. So, I mean, these two players are definitely going to be wanting to prove a point against us this weekend. So how do you see the game going? What's your score prediction?
My head is telling me we're going to drop points. You know what my head's telling me? My head is telling me that United and Arsenal are both going to drop points, and we're going to have an opportunity on Monday night and screw it up. That is what my head is telling me. That is what I think. I actually think, I've got a feeling that obviously United probably will definitely drop points against City, whether that's a draw or defeat. They're not going to win that game. I really don't believe that. And then Watford against Arsenal.
We see United pull out these results year on year.
I don't think Ragnick will be up to it. But we'll see. I'm willing to be proved wrong. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to get a win there. And then Arsenal against Watford, I've just got this feeling that Watford are going to get something in that game, and they're going to because they're also they're fighting for everything right now. And I know Arsenal are playing very well. They just got a very good win against Wolves in the last minute. Fair enough, but I feel like Watford are being very resolute and compact in a very small pitch under Roy Hodgson, and that could be very difficult for Arsenal. I've just got a feeling they could turn up in that game, and if they do, it could give an opportunity for us on Sunday to make up the points, and on Monday, sorry. And I've got a feeling that we'll mess it up. We'll get like a draw or a late defeat. I want to say we're going to win 2-1, but I've just got, if we do play 3-4-3 up against Decore, Allen, and Van den Beek, I see us struggling. And that's the problem. I don't know how to reconcile that. I don't know, because I don't think we're going to play 3-5-2. The only way I'm hoping is if maybe we do play 3-4-3 with Bentancur there, and maybe we do how we did against City, and we can make up for it in other ways. But I think if Winks is in there, I see us struggling. But saying that, I'm going to go 2-1.
2-1 Spurs. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you in terms of the head predictions, but I'm going to go firmly with the heart today. I just need to have some sort of positivity and some confidence in me going into this game. We're playing 17th in the league. We have to go into this game thinking that we're going to win it. So I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs.
1-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs. So that is our match preview, our predictions. I'm going 1-0 Spurs. My brother's going 2-1 Spurs, but those are both firmly heart predictions. But that is our match preview, and let's move on to the guest. But before we do that, let's go into the super chat.
from Bob Spur TV.
Come on, big up, Bob.
And he says, Everton will play a deep line like Wolves, Burnley and Middlesbrough. Just worried our lack of ability to break down defences will do us big love. And that's true. And that's absolutely... and that's not even the defence I'm worried about. I'm worried about their midfield dominating. And if their midfield dominates in a mid-block and they come at us, that could be a big source of trouble for us.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what I'm worried about. Because Decore has the energy to not just dominate, but also to be like bursting into our half and opening up spaces. And with our back line being as shaky as it is at the moment, do I see us withstanding that? I hope so. But they might get a few moments on with Richarlison there. And then all of a sudden, if we go 1-0 down on Monday, I think it could be very bad news for us.
Before we move on, actually, there's one quick topic I wanted to touch on in terms of Heung-min Son. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter over the last 24 hours, 48 hours. Some people calling for Sonny to be dropped, which is crazy in my mind. Absolutely crazy.
I think it's nuts, yeah.
How can you call for Sonny to be dropped if he's contributing to like over 60% of our goals at the moment, even more probably?
They're calling for him to be dropped for Bergwijn, who I think Son has more goals and assists in his last 11 games than Bergwijn has in his Tottenham career.
Yeah.
So let's get it straight. You're asking for him to be dropped. People say he needs a rest, you need a rotation, and I understand that. I think rotation is a very good thing, and if we had the players to rotate, I would happily do it. I just don't think when Son is still contributing 6 goals, 4 assists in the last 11 games, and also in the other games, for example, Wolves. People say he had a bad game. I think he was probably one of our brightest players, and he was the one trying at least to open them up. Against Burnley, again, Spurs were terrible, but he was the one again trying. All I see is him trying. And people say he needs a break. People say he needs a rest. He just had a month off, injured. He was just injured for a month.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So, what's he need a rest from then?
Yeah, but even if he didn't have that time off, right? You've got a whole week to prepare for this game.
Yeah.
A week is more than enough rest for a professional football player, especially to the levels of Heung-min Son. Like, I don't understand this whole rest thing with Heung-min Son. I don't buy into this narrative that he's dying for a rest. I think it was just a very poor display against Middlesbrough, and that's it.
But like you could say that about everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be rested and dropped on that.
I mean, I think people are very quick to say, "Oh, this guy needs a rest. This guy needs a rest." I mean, I don't think that, man. He had a month off pretty much in January. And he's had a week off after the Middlesbrough game to play this game.
And against City, he was brilliant. Against Leeds, I thought he was brilliant. People say he was not good against Leeds. I thought he was brilliant against Leeds.
He was.
I thought he was brilliant. I thought they couldn't handle him. And first of all, I don't think, as I've said before, this left-sided number 10 role is still fairly new to me. He's still working that out, and he has had poor games in that position. And I don't think it's his best position, but I think he's doing a decent job there. As I've said before, I think he can play. I just don't think it's his best position. So he will have poor games there, like he did against Burnley and blah blah blah. But but just because he's had a poor game doesn't mean he needs to be dropped. That doesn't make any sense.
And you know what will happen? Yeah, Sonny starts on the bench, and we go and lose the game, right? And then everyone's going to be like, "Oh, why didn't Son start? Why didn't Son start?" You know what I mean? So it's just.
But people say you can't. Like, people are saying, "Oh, just because he's got goals and assists, stats on everything, and doesn't mean we're seeing that he's still the same Sonny." And I take that point because I don't think he's been exceptional over the past. Even though he's got 6 goals and 4 assists in the last 11 games, I don't think in every game he's been unbelievable. But I still think he's been far better than any other options that we have. Like Bergwijn, yeah, he's had a few flashes when he's come on, but has he scored? Has he assisted? Has he been, I can't think of anything he's done.
He did score 2 in the last minute against Leicester. But
he did that, yeah, but so what? That was good, but that wasn't that was in December now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
January?
Yeah.
December.
He's hardly played since. Didn't he get an injury after that?
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to shit on Bergwijn. I'm just saying that he's not contributing. He's not going to contribute to the levels of Son if you give him a start.
Of course.
You need Son. Son and Kane, unfortunately, are those 2 non-negotiable players in the team.
If you take Son out of this team, you're diminishing our prospects of scoring a goal quite highly.
Yeah.
And that's the facts of the matter.
Correct. Exactly. That's 50% of our goal threat gone if you take Son out of this team.
And even when he's not playing well, like Harry Kane, when he's not playing well, he can find a goal and an assist from somewhere because he's got that quality. So for me, there's no two ways about it. He has to play. He just has to.
And in terms of, I think, goal contributions this season, I think he's second in the league, just behind Salah. Salah's on ridiculous, like 29. And then you got Son on 15, 10 goals and 5 assists. I don't think anyone's got better than that.
Yeah. All right, so that's our piece on Heung-min Son. It's just that that whole conversation on Twitter was driving me a bit mad, so I just had to get that out there. But let's move on and let's start bringing on some guests, and let's go to Brian Daigle. Last weekend in London.
Jeez.
Correct. I can't believe it sounds so weird saying that, but before we get into anything, Ben, you need to go to that shop in Finchley and get the cotton candy one because it's absolutely banging.
Right.
But yeah, and tell Ashley. But yeah, how are you two boys?
All
yeah,
good,
not
Brian.
bad, mate. Not
Nice
bad.
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, bro.
Always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you both tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, sir. Big game this weekend, Brian.
Huge.
Does it sit right with you the way we're speaking about this game? You know, we're coming into a bang out of form Everton sitting 17th in the league, but we're sitting here worried if we can get a win or not. I mean, how are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I'm one of those that are very worried as well. And the reason that I'm worried, and I don't know what you guys and the people in the chat think, is people were saying that Everton will come out and attack, and Everton is Frank Lampard, they play attacking football. But you know, when people are in the relegation struggle, let's face it, Everton, without a doubt, with no disrespect, are definitely in one. These are the sort of games against the teams higher up in the league where they'll be happy to take a point. It's all about taking the 3 points around the teams around them to make some really serious inroads. As much as I think Frank Lampard would want to play attacking, I think right now if you gave him a draw, he'll bite your hand off for a draw at Tottenham. And I think he is going to go the way Middlesbrough like. But Bob Spur's taking all my material, brother. I think feelings there because I think they will. I think they're going to play like Borough, like Burnley, like Wolves. I really do, and just try and get a smash and grab, or try and get away with the point, and then focus on the teams around them to go all out.
Yeah, and if they do that, it's going to be very difficult, isn't it? Because it's like when you've got a wounded animal like Everton, who are down in the relegation zone, although they've got a squad with the likes of Decore and Alan and Van den Beek and Richarlison and Dele Alli and maybe Calvert-Lewin. Like, they've got a lot of quality there. And if they turn up, they can be a much better than they've shown this season. And that's what I'm worried about, that they're going to be fighting with that kind of quality against us, and we're not going to be able to match the fight that they have, and they're going to want it more.
Sim, it's like you were saying as well with if Winks plays, because if we think he will, let's face it, if they play I can't see it being Højbjerg and Bentancur. I can see it being a 3 once again. And Decore and Allen, and Decore with his strength will just absolutely bulldoze past Harry Winks. Absolutely. I mean, Simeon, we spoke about after the Middlesbrough game when Harry Winks tried to do that professional foul. If he tried to do that to Decore, Harry Winks will bounce out of the stadium. I've just got a real big feeling that midfield, again, we're talking about the midfielders being a huge issue. And I just got a really bad feeling about being overrun. I think attacking, like you said, you spoke about Richarlison, who always seems to have a good game against us. But I really like the other guy you had on the one to watch, that Gordon. Looks a real promising talent. A youngster that's playing with no fear and just popping up everywhere in a bag of energy. And I am concerned. Put it this way, I'm very, very happy. I'm going to be in Toronto, and I'm not coming to the game with you. As much as I'd love to go to the game with you, but if it weren't the right
Charming,
result, I could
charming.
No, only because I'd probably do something. Mate, believe me, I would swim back from Toronto to spend 90 minutes at a game with you two.
Well, it's funny you should say that. We got a spare ticket.
Oh, don't. Honey, one second, drinks are off. But yeah, I wish I could be going with you guys. But like I said, if the result is not 3 points, I would have seen me doing something stupid. And that's quite a vast range of things I could be capable of doing. But yeah, I just hope. I mean, like you said, I don't think it will happen, but you can just see Dele Alli or Andros Townsend having the game of their life, can't you? It's just this kind of stuff written in the stars.
That's what, yeah, with Dele Alli as well. That's what. Are you worried about him turning up in this game if he does get some minutes on the pitch? Because we know that he can come up with some magic, and if he does, it's going to be hard to stop, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, everyone knows my feelings when it was coming to getting rid of people. Dele Alli was numero uno on my hit list or wish list, whatever you want to call it. And he's gone, and he hasn't started off very well at all. I showed you both that video he put on his social media where he said, I escaped from the police, and it says I escaped from. It's not been nice. He hasn't got off to a great start, but it's just written in the stars. Oh, what a better place to show that I'm back than at Spurs. And you listen, when Dele Alli comes on, if Dele Alli plays how Dele Alli is capable, he could single-handedly win any game against any team. But he hasn't shown that for a very, very, very long time. And let's just hope that continues on Monday.
Yeah, you just know he's going to turn up, though, don't you, Brian, on Monday night? You just know. It's just written in the stars.
I think as well, if he is in the team, so I don't think he was even in the squad for the FA Cup, was he? Or was he cup tied? Oh, he's cup tied, wasn't he?
Cup tied, yeah. He played that Morecambe game, I think.
So yeah, he did. He went off, didn't he? He's one of the ones when I was with you that went off and went round the. He went off quickly to the sideline when Dembele was walking, and Brian Hill sprinted, so he couldn't play. So he will be there. Let's face it, he's going to go straight back into the squad. And as soon as he comes out to do the warm-ups, if he gets, I honestly don't know what kind of reaction he would get.
Oh, he'll get a good reception for sure. For sure. I'm pretty certain of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if you. I personally wouldn't be booing him, but I wouldn't be clapping him. So it all depends, and if it does come out with a bad reaction, he's just to say, "All right, you want to do that to me," and then it's going to be like Pandora's box will open. But it's a hard game. A hard game. We just need Harry Kane. Thankfully, like every team, has a great scoring record against them.
Yeah, in my opinion, with the Dele Alli reception thing, I think, it didn't go well for him the last couple of years at Spurs, but I think for the service he gave the club, for the moments he gave the fans, I think that he deserves a good reception from the fan base. I really do. So I, for one, if I was in the stadium, I'd be singing his name and I'll be clapping him 100%. 100%.
There you go. I mean, like I said, with me, it just... there's too many things that annoyed me. For me, like I said, I wouldn't boo him. I just wouldn't be clapping or singing his name. But on our point, I mean, I love the discussion you were just having about Heung-min Son.
What's your opinion?
Do you know what? My opinion on it is kind of, I think he does need a rest, but I don't mean a rest because of his bad form. You can't just, like I said, I use this expression a lot with you guys when I say he's overplayed and overplayed and undervalued. If you look at it back in peak Poch with the wing backs that he rotated, even if they were on form, it kept them on tip-top form. It kept them fresh. I think if there was someone there of his caliber, like a decent replacement, then you could call, do you know what, have a rest. There's someone there to lighten the burden for you. But he is so integral to everything. Like, if we've got Skip and Bentancur or Skip out for sure, and there's key players out, you take Heung-min Son out, you're stripping half the goals from the team straight away. And right now, we need goals. We need to be scoring in abundance, especially for our goal difference as well. If we've got any hope of Europa or whatever, if it comes down to points. So if we had a same quality or just a little bit below quality replacement or competition for him, I think I would give him a rest. But the very fact that we haven't means he's undroppable.
So do you think when people, if I said, people say he needs a rest, but he's got 6 goals. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists in his last 11 games, and you're talking about a player off form. What does that tell you?
Well, this is the thing. Like we saw, we were together for the Middlesbrough game. City, he was good. Leeds, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. But it's like, whenever I think of this, I go back to a game that I watched when I was in Israel. And it was ages ago, and it was England-Argentina. And we played them not in England or Argentina. It wasn't a World Cup or a Euros. It was a friendly. And we were 1-0 down with like 4 minutes to go. And Michael Owen hadn't done anything. But then he got 2 chances, scored 2 goals, and we won 2-1. And that's kind of what players up that end can do. It's like they don't need a lot. They just need that one moment, that one chance. But like we saw in against Middlesbrough, he was kind of sloppy at times.
Yeah.
And he's getting the job done. Like if you look at his touches, he's giving the ball away. It tells a completely different story compared to his goals and assist ratio numbers. So you can, in those positions, perform bad or off your normal standard, have one chance, score one goal, and it's like you've had a good game because you've done your job.
Mm-hmm.
But we're saying as well, like you were saying, Simeon, about him having a month off for injury. Technically, it's a month off, but that's a month of hard rehabilitation and working hard to get back to match fitness. And obviously, you've got to be very careful with hamstring tears. Once they start doing it, they are an injury that can very easily keep reoccurring. And that's another reason why I say sometimes he could do the rest just to rest and reduce that risk of an even bigger injury. Because if let's just say he didn't get a rest, and then he got another hamstring tear on Wednesday. This is like a mad coincidence that it could happen, but then he's out for even longer. And that's when I keep going back to overplayed and undervalued, because he's simply undroppable. It doesn't matter how poor he plays, and he could go very, very poor. I mean, his standards, even now, like you're saying, he's still producing. But he could go well off the boil, and there's still no replacement of his caliber and his class and his quality that contribute as much as he does. So it's a lack of quality within the squad, but he is chipping away with what he needs to do. It's just a very poor display against Borough, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But
I would say that argument probably does hold a lot of weight if we were still in Europe and the cup competitions. But now we've got just the Premier League to think about, and it's just one game a week. Surely that's enough, rest period in between games that he doesn't need a rest.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it lightens the load. It's obviously lightened the load, and that should be a lot easier for recovering. And obviously, there's not much pressure during the week. You haven't got to play 2 games a week. It's just like I said, and I go back to like when we did this with Trippier and Davies and Rose and Walker. That season, they were so fresh every single game. When they came in, both of them did a job, no matter what combination of fullbacks they played, and it kept them on tip-top condition, whether it was 1 game a week or 2 games a week. And it would be nice, obviously, to have that option with every single player on the pitch. We don't, but that's a different conversation. But with Son, there's just, I mean, if Son's fit, if Kane's fit, they play. Yeah. Does not matter. Sometimes we rush them back from injuries because of how essential they are. And that's a lot of pressure on the body. Like you said, a week's long enough to recuperate, but these hamstring injuries can ruin careers very, very simply. And it could happen in training. It could happen so that's why I say it like that, because just because of the type of injury it is with that hamstring, especially with his pace being a huge part of his game, like it was with Owen. Look what happened with Owen with that type of injury.
Yeah, fair enough. Brian, score prediction.
So my heart, I'm doing you guys. My heart is saying 2-1. My head is saying 1-0.
1-0. What are you going to go with?
I've always got to go with my heart. Always got to go with my heart. With Spurs fans, it's always best to go with the heart.
Always. That's the way you're most disappointed as well, by going with the heart. But look, Brian, thanks a lot for calling in today. We'll see you tomorrow. And see you tomorrow.
I'll just say, because I know he's giving super chats again and he's probably in there. Just carry on getting well, Bob, brother. Love you to pieces. It was great seeing you yesterday. And I'll speak to you later on. And everyone in the chat, have a wonderful weekend. Everyone in the studio, have a great weekend. And I'm not saying it today because there's no need to say it. So, yeah, just have a great weekend. And Shabbat Shalom, boys, and say hello to Grandpa for me.
Will do.
Big up, Brian. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you later on, boys.
Brian.
Bye-bye.
So that was Brian Daigle. And now let's get on EastEnders' very own Barry. How's it going, brother?
I'm good. We haven't played, so we haven't lost. So
all smiles. Yeah.
My weekend can't be ruined because we're not playing till Monday. So hey, it's all good at the moment. So
how are you feeling?
So, yeah.
How are you feeling coming into this game? Because obviously a lot of fans are worried coming into this game, but Everton are on quite bad form since Lampard's come in. Only one game, only one win against Leeds. Are you worried about the prospect of Everton coming to the Spurs Stadium and getting something?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Sim said, we're win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, so we should win and we don't need to worry about it. But look, they're going to be fighting for everything. They're in a relegation battle. I think they'll be okay. I think it's Norwich and Watford are probably down. But you never know what's going to happen, right? The teams are all playing, they're all fighting for their lives. The next 3 or 4 games is going to shape the relegation battle massively. Leeds in particular, they just look at the moment that look like they're going to be going down. But yeah, look, I'm worried, but I've kind of taken the view that less to expect the unexpected, because this is Spurs, and whatever happens, right? So if we win, then it's great. If we lose, I don't think we can. I think we need to not lower expectations, but to see, have a bit, kind of take stock and go, look, it could be a whole lot worse. I mean, we could still be in the Conference League. We could still be in the FA Cup and have all these games, 2 games a week for the next 2 or 3 months, and we could be in a, as much as that would be good. In terms of for the squad, it would be terrible, because we've seen what happens when we've got games coming and everything else. So, yeah, look, we're playing on Monday. We're going to have a good time tomorrow to see Daigle off. I mean, I don't believe he'll leave until he's actually on the plane, right? So
no one does. Even then, I wouldn't be surprised if the plane turns round, knowing Brian.
Yeah, there'll be a call. Something will happen, and Brian will be like, right, plane needs to go back. Something's happened.
Take off at Heathrow. They have an emergency landing at Luton or something.
You couldn't write it, but look, it's. Yeah,
Barry, how would you approach the game tomorrow in terms of formation and tactics and stuff? Because are you not worried that if we play a 3-4-3 with Winks and Højbjerg, let's say for argument's sake, Bentancur and Skipper are still not fit, do you not worry? You saw how they struggled against Johnny House and the other Middlesbrough centre mids in the 3. You saw how they struggled against Wolves and they played a 3 in the middle as well. With the likes of Decore, Allan and Van der Beek, who's very likely to be in a midfield 3, would that area not really worry you?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just get bossed. That midfield will get absolutely overrun. And then, we're going to see people playing out of position. We'll see what happened at Middlesbrough. 5 players round the ball to try and get the ball. Yeah, look, I'm praying that we're doing everything that we can to have either one or both of Skip and Bentancur back, because I think if one or both are back, then that would make an absolute massive difference. And then, going into the game, we're all going to be a bit more positive, right? So, but yeah, if it is Winks and Højbjerg, then it's going to be another tough night.
And there's no chance we can't really play a 3 in the middle, can we? Or maybe a bit Kulu, a bit central. Would you consider that?
Kulu or Mora or Stevie B through the middle. I don't know. I don't think it's a kind of game to kind of try something like that. I mean, we could, and there's, we've got nothing to lose by doing that, but I just don't think Conte is going to go away from, the system that he wants to play. I think we look, there's Ben, obviously you were talking about Reggie coming back. What potentially you could play Reggie and Cess, right? And give Son a rest, or, switch him over and give Kula a rest. I don't know. You've got options to try and change it, but we just need to go out and get 3 points. Like we said the other week, we needed to go up to Burnley and get 3 points. We needed to beat Middlesbrough and just get through. It's another one of those games where we just need to, I think, out of everything, put a performance in for the fans, put a performance in for the club, and show and get the players showing that they care to put on that shirt. Because I think that's the problem. we need to get behind the boys. We need to get behind Conte. Whatever's happening elsewhere, we can't change anything until the summer, right? We can't buy anyone. We can't do anything that's going to do that. I think we all just need to be, as a fan base, I think we all need to be together and just support one another. Because I'm sure you've seen what's happened the last few days on Twitter. So, we just need to be together, support one another. And hopefully we can walk out of that stadium for the first time in a long time with, smiles on our faces.
Yeah, and with you mentioned potentially about Heung-min Son having a rest before. What's your opinion on all that? Because there's been a lot of back and forth on Twitter over the last 48 hours about Heung-min Son. Some saying he needs a rest, some saying he needs to come out of the team a little bit. But me and Sim saying here that he's way too important to be rested, especially for this game. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, where we've got the spaces now with one game a week or 5 days between games or whatever that looks like. In this day and age, you'd like to think that they're professionals that can play and not be tired, and so to speak. And I know we're talking about, when we look at it as human beings, and what do you mean you can't play 2 games in a week or whatever? If that was us, we'd want to try and play every day. But it's not possible with everything that goes around the elite sportsmanship. But with Son, I think he is too important. I don't think you can just throw Stevie B in there and hope that something happens or swap or try something different and put Kula on the left hand side. And I just think we looking at stats and there's stats that we can look at. Son's having one of his best seasons ever, but actually from an eye view, he the last few games he's not been great. So I don't see without him and Kane, I really worry. And if one of them gets injured, and especially I think Sonny, then we're then going to be forced into trying something like we said about Stevie B or Lucas or Cooley moving across because or Reggie coming in, because we don't have the squad depth, we don't have the personnel. So he's massively important, and like the next few games are important for the teams, fighting it out for the top 6 and top 4 and relegation. We've got a massive 3 or 4 games. Afterwards we go to United. Who knows what team's going to turn up then? Obviously, based on the win-lose, we're going to be in a lose situation. They've obviously going to have played the Manchester derby, so there's going to be lots of twists and turns. I think do I think top 4's done? Mathematically, it's not, but realistically, it probably is. But there are twists and turns, and like you said, Man U will drop points, West Ham will drop points. We'll have the opportunity to close the gap, and lo and behold, we'll screw it up. So
that's the Tottenham way, Barry. But one player I want to ask you about in Dele Alli. He's going to have a point to prove this weekend. Are you expecting a big Dele Alli performance on Monday night?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like we were talking about this last night and the last few days. It's kind of Dele Alli against Tottenham. It's like the new kind of derby. You've got Hitchin against Paratici. You've got Dele Alli and Townsend against Spurs. It's like the big heavy, it's like Fury versus White, or it's the next big heavyweight clash that's going to be on. So he's got a massive point to prove, right?
I think in this time it's probably a featherweight clash.
Yeah. It's not. Not a heavyweight clash, but he's got a point to prove. I think he'll prove it. I think, like always, he'll get a good reception from the fans. It's very rare that a player comes back and he's not. You looked at Sissoko when he came back at the start of the season, and he had a great reception. And I think that won't be an issue. But I think he's going to have a point to prove. And I don't think he starts. But if it's 0-0, 1-1 with 15 minutes to go, then I'm certainly going to be worried about what's potentially going to happen. And everything that he's tried, and the flicks and the tricks, and Steve Perryman was talking about it last night. He will just do it, and it'll come off, and it's bound to come off against us.
All right. What's your score prediction Monday night?
I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs. And I just hope, we get an early goal. We don't go if we concede first, it's going to be a really tough night. So yeah, hopefully we're gonna come through. So let's just try and be positive, get behind the boys. I'll see you both tomorrow as well, and come on you Spurs.
All right, come on you
Looking
Spurs.
forward to it, Barry.
Big up, Barry. So that was Barry. Who have we got coming on next? No one. Okay, so I guess that is that for today. We'll be back. Antonio Conte's press conference is due in 40 minutes at 1:30. So as soon as that drops, we'll be bringing it to you. So keep an eye out for that. So thank you everyone for joining today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.